leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC with Stig Abell. Call 0345 60 60 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC.
Very good afternoon to you, Stig Abell here this Sunday afternoon on LBC. Coming up over the next 3 hours, you've all heard the remarks of Donald Trump talking about touching up women. You can do anything, he said. Well, let's leave the politics to one side. He's probably not going to win now anyway. Is this just banter or indicative of a culture that condones sexual harassment and assault? At 5 o'clock, we'll be discussing the plight of citizens of Aleppo. Go to lbc.co.uk and look at the pictures of the kids maimed and blighted by war. What can be done? How can we let Russia, itself almost a rogue state, get away with this? And what is the UN doing? But first, it's been a bad week for UKIP. They had a policy meeting that turned to a dust-up. Meanwhile, Theresa May has stolen their thunder. Is next year the last year we need them? Yeah, by any standards, this has not been a good week for UKIP. Of course, there was this scrap between Stephen Wolfe and Mike Left Hookham, which left Stephen, a thoroughly charming person in my experience, in hospital. He was released today, thankfully. Now, the details are cloudy and it's not clear who did what to whom, and I'm not interested in ascribing blame there. But it is clear there was a physical disagreement. Hookham has called it various things, girl-on-girl action, terrifyingly, and handbags at dawn. Farage called it one of the things that happen between men. But here's the thing. This is a supposedly serious party meeting to discuss their policies over Brexit, and it ends with a scrap and one of them in hospital. It's pathetic, isn't it? UKIP, the party often painted as a party of rogues and shady characters, some of whom drift ever nearer to a textbook definition of daft racist, has disgraced itself once again. And the reason why this is important, because the question ends up being asked, why do we need them now anyway? Because the other body blow of the week, metaphorically this time, was the announcement by Theresa May of a clear Brexit timetable. Article 50 is going to be declared by the end of March. So here's a thought. That date, the end of March, UKIP should no longer exist. This time, we've got a right-wing Tory government, not the namby-pamby Notting Hill Euro lovies of David Cameron. The Tories are committed to Brexit. They're committed to anti-immigrant rhetoric to a slightly terrifying extent, committed, for God's sake, to naming and shaming foreigners who come over here and take our jobs. Brexit means Brexit, but it also means the end of UKIP, doesn't it? Dan Hodges, the journalist, has said in the Mail on Sunday today, UKIP are now just a political gateway drug, the vehicle by which former Labour voters make the transition to the Tory fold. They're just a political gateway drug. And I agree, I think. If you're a UKIP voter, now, vote Tory. If you're a Northern Labour voter angry at the consequences of globalisation and open borders, vote Tory. If you're a right-wing Tory, vote Tory. Why bother with a party that can keep a leader, Diane James, for less time than Britney Spears kept her first marriage? Why bother with a party from which Nigel Farage can't even resign successfully? Farage, incidentally, is one of the few people to defend Donald Trump, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. Why bother with a party where a policy meeting turns into a brawl? Why bother with a party where many of its leading figures want to suck up to Putin, the man threatening the West and killing children in Syria? Is it time to call time on UKIP? Are we the last drinks in the anti-Euro saloon for them? I want to hear you. 0345 60 60 973. Text 84850 and tweet at LBC. I want you to tell me what the point of the party is now. And tell me whether a party that cannot host a discussion without blows being landed is really worthy of your support. Are you a wobbling UKIP voter? Is Theresa May's Tories starting to look a bit tempting? Or am I just a dreadful, liberal, Ramoning member of the media elite who can't see the true value of the party? Are you still UKIP and proud? Remember, there's no need to fight about it. We can use our words and debate it. 0345 60 60 973 is the number to call. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC. Tone has tweeted, it shows they're normal. You argue with your mates about footy down the pub and it can end in a tear-up. I'm not disputing that, but do we not want more from our political figures that doesn't happen? How important is a scrap like that? But in any event, please explain to me why you wouldn't, if you're a UKIP voter, you wouldn't just be voting Tory in the next election. They give you what they want. Anti-immigration, hard Brexit. What's the reason for UKIP's existence? It certainly isn't a happy place within the party. It's only got one MP. That MP's hated by most of the other members of his own party. They have a chat, turns into a scrap. they're not a shining example of a political party. And has their niche gone? You tell me. 03456060973 is the number to call. Text 84850. Well, to help me get through tonight, I think to put a rather more measured and persuasive position about UKIP than I have just done is Elizabeth Jones, the UKIP NEC member and Lambeth Deputy Chairwoman. She was, of course, a candidate for the UKIP leadership this year. Elizabeth, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and how are you doing, Steve?
I'm very well. Are you going to stand again, by the way? I mean, you were a leadership candidate. Are you going to be one again?
I might well do. I'm just going to see how things pan out over the next week.
How do you feel about this alleged punch-up? And you know, not in the sense of who did what to whom, unless you know more than we do about that.
Well, I can't really discuss the ins and outs of it. We're having an internal investigation. The chairman of the party has gone over to Brussels to interview everyone there to work out exactly the running order of events, to find out exactly what happened. Furthermore, as you're aware, there's a European parliamentary investigation as well. So it would be really unfair of me to make any comment until we have the full facts, and I wouldn't propose to. I couldn't even say if it was a physical altercation or verbal only. I would not like to say either way. Now,
but it's depressing, isn't it? And the fact of it, whatever happened, it's depressing, isn't it, for you?
I don't find it depressing. It's
really?
not without precedent. I don't condone physical violence at all. However, I accept that it is not without precedent. In 1972, we had the MP, Bernadette Devlin, punching a Conservative MP. Let's not forget Eric Joyce in 2012. He punched a Labour whip, Phil Wilson. He headbutted, I believe, a Conservative, punched another Conservative. So, and of course, we have the issue, of course, with John Prescott actually hitting a member of the public after being egged. So tempers do get frayed.
But you don't want to be the lowest common denominator of British politics. You can't pick three terrible incidents and say, well, that makes it okay.
I didn't say that it makes it okay. What I said was I do not support physical violence at all. What I'm saying is it's not a unique event within British politics. It just isn't. It's a very rare event, of course. It's not something that happens, I would say, every year, every month.
And you don't want it to happen, do you, Elizabeth?
But it does happen.
You don't want it to happen. You know, you want to be a serious party, and then people are talking, instead of that, they're talking about the fact that it appears, and then you have people like Neil Hamilton saying, well, they asked each other out and they got a bit of a slap, and using language like that, and girl-on-girl action, and one of the things that happened between men, that's what your current leader, Farage, calls it. You don't want any of that, really, do you, Elizabeth?
I don't want it any more than the Labour Party wanted John Prescott egging a member of the public, and any more than the Labour Party wanted Eric Joyce headbutting a Conservative MP and then punching out one of his own MPs. No one wants it. No member of any political party wants this sort of conduct. However, we all have to accept no one is a piece of stone. Tempers do get frayed in all political parties. I mean, my goodness, I'm sure you are aware or heard of the accounts of the unfortunate and difficult relationship between Gordon Brown and Tony Blair. And I'm sure there were certainly many, many crosswords and shouting between those two.
Let's talk about, move away from that incident to the broader point. Theresa May says, and in many ways she's taken a lot of your policies. She's hard Brexit. Article 50 is going to be triggered. You've got people who were leading the Brexit campaign firmly ensconced in the cabinet. Are you concerned that they're stealing all your best tunes?
I'm delighted she's stealing all our best tunes. We are now the font of all her policies. That's absolutely fantastic news. I'm absolutely in favour of this. It's like going to a party and having all the fun without the hangover. So we put out our trestle of policies. She comes along, walks off with them. She actually has to do the hard graft of trying to persuade the Labour MPs, the SNP, the Lib Dems and our one UKIP MP to actually go ahead and pursue the policies with her. And we have all the fun. We originated and created the policies, and she's got to do the graft of pushing them through.
But that hard work is actually being in power. Are you saying you're happy not to be in power, just to have the fun of coming up with ideas?
That is the most effective position and realistic position that UKIP can adopt at the moment. As you rightly said earlier, I quite rightly say, we only have one MP.
Hang on a sec.
We don't have... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on. No, we lost you for a second. Start that again. I'm sorry. We lost you for a second.
Yeah. As you rightly say, Stig, we only have one MP. That's quite right. So we don't have much leverage within the House of Commons. That is entirely correct. However, we do have a huge amount of leverage within the public imagination. For instance, this week has been totally dominated by UKIP, hasn't it?
Well, only because two of your people allegedly got into a scrap.
It doesn't matter.
Come on, Elizabeth. It must matter. It must matter that people are talking about UKIP for that reason.
OK, let me put this to you. 7th of October, right in the middle of this drama, Hartlepool, we won our 6th councillor. And we, bit by bit, we're going to steal from the Labour heartlands the Labour's dominant political position. Because clearly the people of Hartlepool did not give a stuff.
About what? That's an interesting point. I mean, do you think that...
all of this brouhaha, they didn't give... They put their crosses alongside UKIP. And we are now the second party in the Hartlepool Council. Slowly catching monkey. And that's what UKIP's going to do in the Labour heartlands.
And do you think, therefore, that you're aiming at a 2020 election where you'll get more MPs? Because on one hand, you could be the party of nudge, where you can sit there and have ideas that get nicked by the bigger, more dominant right-wing party. And the Tories are likely to be a big right-wing party for a long time now, it would seem, what with the complete abdication of the field by Labour. Are you happy to be that party that nudges and gets ideas via the Tories? Or do you really feel that you can become a dominant Westminster political party?
Ideally, we would like to be a dominant Westminster political party and perhaps enter into a coalition, ideally with the leading party of the day. That would be an ideal position. However, I am a realist, and I would accept that between now and 2020, we've got to closely monitor Theresa May to make sure she actually does push through Brexit in a timely manner. We've also got to monitor our own elections. Next year we've got the 2017 local elections, we've got 2018 elections, and we've got to see how well we do in those. I'm happy either way. I'm no snob. If we were a situation that we just retained one MP, Douglas Carswell, and we still exerted huge influence with regard to policies, which the Conservatives then followed through for us, I'm happy either way. Either way, the people who voted Brexit in the Midlands, in the Labour heartlands of the North and in Wales will have their voice heard, and that's what's important to me.
Well, just finally, Elizabeth, what do you make of Farage going off to America and sucking up to Donald Trump in that fashion? You've heard what Donald Trump said, and Farage is one of the few voices to defend him and to say he's not running to be Pope, it's just locker room banter. Were you appalled by what Farage said in defence of him?
I'm not appalled by what Farage said. I'm more appalled by Hillary's defence of her husband's activities against a whole slew of defenceless young women who would not have the money or the resources to be able to fight back and defend themselves against sexual assault.
So you don't think do you think what Trump said was wrong?
I don't really care what Trump said. If it's found out that he has actually assaulted and intimidated these women and girls, then I would be very, very, very concerned. But words are just puff. I'm not really that, but I consider myself to be a feminist, and I am not that bothered by what blokes say in perhaps a drunken situation. When there are a group of men together, they'll brag, they'll talk. That does not bother me. What bothers me is the practical realities. Have they actually gone out and raped any women? Have they sexually assaulted any women? Have they demanded sexual favours of women for internships? Have they demanded sexual favours of women for paid jobs? That's what I'm concerned about. Have they deliberately and knowingly perhaps infected women with a sexually transmitted infection? Have they actually got some poor woman pregnant and run away from their responsibility? That's the true problem. That's the reality. Name calling, who cares?
Elizabeth Jones, thank you very much indeed. She's was going to be the UKIP leadership candidate in the last run and may do so again. Words are just puff, she said. We'll be talking about that at 4 o'clock. I'm interested in that because do words like Trump's actually lead to a sexual assault culture, or is it only deeds that matter, as Elizabeth Jones just said? But before that, we're going to talk about UKIP. She's happy, Elizabeth said, if they're just the nudge party for the Tories. Here's my thinking. In March, Brexit starts, Article 50 is triggered. If you want anti-immigration, if you want Brexit to happen, you vote Tory. UKIP can't have a policy meeting without slapping one another, allegedly. Why would you vote for them? Are you a UKIPper who's wobbling towards the Tories? Or are you still UKIP and proud? You let me know. 03456060973. I'm Stig Abell. This is LBC. It's now 3:18.
LBC.